some hope to die.
By these 50 countries, differing so much in race and religion, in language and culture.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
Well, I know they're lying. They tricked me once, but they're not going to trick me twice. The time is now. Welcome back to the Professor Penn podcast. David Penn, your host. Glad to be with you as always for episode number 231, coming to you on this Thursday night, August 21st, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I have a guest in studio today, a candidate for mayor of Minneapolis. Very controversial race going on down there. I thought we would all of us get down into the city and find out what's going on. Mr. Laverne Turner, welcome to the Professor Penn podcast, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
I'm very glad you're here. We don't know each other. It's going to be a chance for us to get to know each other.
Right.
It's an intimate conversation. Go any place you want to. But for those of you that are watching nationally, in every state, almost every state, there's a major metropolitan area. In almost every state.
Yes.
Chicago, New York City, Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
Starting to feel like I'm James Brown. But my point in saying
Detroit
this,
City.
wherever you are, there is a major metropolitan area which the Republican Party abandoned over the last 20 to 30 to 40 years. That city has the core of the population of your state. That is where we have a diverse population. And in most of these big cities, the Republican Party is not present. And what we've learned is that through the development of mass transit and programs, housing, all the things that the Democrat Party can do to expand their influence, that core city just expands out first ring of suburbs, second ring of suburbs, and they're coming right to a town near you. That's their play.
Right.
Their play is to expand their influence, leapfrogging or building off of what they've already created in the core cities.
Right.
So you think you're safe, you're living out in God's country. Oh, no. That communism is coming right to you.
Yeah.
And what I'm advocating, and my audience knows, and I don't care if you live in Florida, Miami. I mean, whatever city or state you're in, we as Republicans, and I don't mean the party, I mean as Republicans, people that believe in self-governance, people that believe in self-regulation, self-defense, responsibility, people that want to be sovereigns of their own lives. We must reclaim for our people the self-governance that is inherent in our Constitution for the people in the cities. They've been abandoned. And we don't know how to do it. Here in Minnesota, our party doesn't know how to do it. And I brought Laverne in for two reasons. Number one, he's running for mayor of Minneapolis. And I want to hear all about that race from his perspective, because we got a Democrat socialist that is also running for that job.
Right.
And then I just want to talk about what do we got to do? What's your theory? What's your plan? You got a strategy? Because there's hundreds of Republican Party officers that are going to listen to this, and you got a chance to reach out to them. So the floor is yours. We don't know each other. We were talking before. You were born in Little Rock.
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, 1974, and moved to Minneapolis as a toddler. A couple years later, my mother's side of the family migrated to Minneapolis solely for the social welfare system benefits back in those times.
Can I ask a quick question?
Minnesota has an excellent reputation for a very long time about excellent social services.
I wanted to ask that question. So in other words, the social services in Arkansas weren't very supportive.
Probably not like here.
And so she came here to Minnesota.
The whole family did.
Okay.
Side of the family did.
And you went to Minneapolis?
Yes, Minneapolis.
Okay.
And South Side. Spent most of my childhood growing up on the South Side. Graduated from Roosevelt High School, played varsity basketball. Actually was on the team that went to the 1991 state championship game
Wow.
and lost to Cretan. Still haunts me to this day. But yeah, I grew up here, love it here. I went to college in St. Mary's, Winona for about 9 months. And then I had this, I don't know, epiphany, this desire to sort of re-explore or explore this newfound Afrocentrism that was going on in the early '90s or mid '90s. So I actually transferred to a college at HBCU, Morris Brown College in the AUC, Atlanta University Center in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
After college, I came home in '98, and while I was looking for work and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, I joined the Independence Party and just
Okay.
started. I've always had an interest in governance, politics, policy, even as a child. Um, I think from the age of 8, I've watched every Democrat, Republican convention on TV, every debate, presidential debate, vice presidential debate, to the point where at like 10 years old, I think my mom this one time came in my room and I was watching some political convention, and my mom asked me, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "I'm watching the convention, Mom." And she looks at me like, "Is this my child?" Like, "What? What?" It didn't compute. So I've always been interested in politics. So when I got out of college, trying to look for a job, to fill my spare time, I got involved with the local political scene here in Minneapolis,
Independence Party.
Independent Party. Yep.
Starting out.
Yep.
Okay. And then hearing around the campfire that you got some involvement with the Republicans.
That came later on. Initially, I ran for state house of Minnesota in 2000. I was young. I think I was like 23, 24, and I just wanted the experience,
Okay.
just to learn what the process was like. And I got a lesson.
Got a lesson.
I got a lesson. And then I decided to try it again just for more experience. I ran for state senate in 2002. And then I got fortunate enough to
And this is in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, yes.
Which right now, correct me if I'm wrong, we have elections, and a lot of times we don't even have Republican Party candidates to stand up
Yes.
to run in those
Yes.
elections.
Yeah, I mean, in Minneapolis, if you're a Democrat, the traditional wisdom is you're gonna win that. If you're the endorsed Democrat, you're gonna win that race. Republicans don't even try. Well, 20 some years ago, when I was running as an independent, there was never a Republican challenger in that. In
They
Minneapolis.
didn't even show up to play. Nobody
No,
laced up.
Nobody. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a given. Which I think is a problem, and it's kind of why we are where we are now in the state with this. I can't even really call them DFL or Democratic domination, because they're more communist and socialist now than your old school JFK Democrat style Democrat, moderate Democrat. That doesn't exist anymore. But back,
No, can I just ask, when you say it doesn't exist anymore, you talking about in Minneapolis, or are you talking throughout the Democrat Party of the entire state?
well, I'm talking about Minneapolis.
Okay, so Minneapolis, which is a lot of people.
And if you are a Democrat in Minneapolis, like you consider yourself to be an old school moderate Democrat,
That's what I'm trying
most
to
likely you're supporting my candidacy.
Okay.
I have a lot of people who are, that old school moderate Democrat
Yeah.
who are supporting me.
Is there any kind of numbers of these people, and are they living over on the like by the lakes, or where are they downtown? Where is this cohort of people that are what you're calling, I guess, more traditional Democrats?
They're spread out amongst the city. I mean, it's mostly older individuals,
Okay.
right, and probably in their 60s, 70s, maybe some Gen Xers like myself.
Okay.
But they're they're in the wards like 13 and 12 and 11 that are closer to South Minneapolis towards the river,
Okay.
Minnehaha, Hiawatha, 55, um, uh, and then you know there they're there. They just don't like where the party is going. But they're quiet about it because they don't want to be ridiculed or attacked by their peers.
Okay.
Right? Because that's the tactic of the left now, even of their own. If you're not in lockstep with everything that they agree with, if you're not supporting them, even if you're a Democrat or not, they will attack you. And people don't want that type of, mess in their lives. People just want to live and not, be ridiculed or canceled people don't want that. So I do have a base of Democrats. As a matter of fact, I would say I have way more Democrats contributing to my campaign than Republicans, to be honest with you. Way more.
And why would you say why it in your? Do you have a theory about why that is?
While the
Why
moderate
why the Republicans are not recognizing your efforts?
Well, don't get me wrong. A lot of my conservative friends all over the state, in my local BPOU or whatever, they give me that moral support. Like, thanks for running. It's needed. Um, you know, thanks, but you don't have a shot in hell type attitude.
But can I make it just strategic? Because as I said to you as we were walking in the studio, we have a lot of Republican Party officers that are going to hear this.
Right.
Possibly Alex Plekish will listen, or somebody that's close to him will listen and say, "Hey, David Penn said this. It's a message for you." And here's my message. Politics. There's a German military historian named von Clausewitz. And von Clausewitz said that war is politics by other means.
Right.
Well, then the inverse is true. Politics is
War.
war
Yes.
by other means, right?
Yeah.
So we have this battlefield called the state of Minnesota that's divided up into Senate districts and legislative districts.
Right.
And when we have Senate districts and legislative districts that don't have candidates, that allows the opponent, it's not war, but it has an element to it. On that battlefield, that political battlefield, if nobody stands up to run, they don't even have to pay attention to it. Doesn't take any resources. They don't have to hire a campaign manager. They don't have to do anything to defend that territory. Even if we were going to lose, it's valiant to show up and to try to build some.
I've been advocating for 25 years to the Republican Party that, for one, there are votes to get in the urban core. People for 25 years have been looking for an alternative. We just haven't been providing it.
Oh, wait a second. Got to stop. Slow down. Slow your roll. I want to hear that one more time. Because, see, there's all these people all over the state that are Republicans going to hear this. I want you to say that one more time. I want to say back what I think I heard. There are votes to get in the urban core, but what did you say? Well, why is nobody going after those votes? What's going on?
I don't know. To me, I don't want to speculate, but honestly, I think that Republicans don't want to spend the money that is necessary to compete in the urban core.
But how do you ever have a Republican state if you kiss off the urban core where all the people live?
I don't know. I've been telling the Republican Party for 25 years. There are votes to get, but we have to give them a reason to vote for us.
Okay, that's the part I want to get to.
We're not giving them a reason to vote for us. We might have the right message. Our policies might be the right solutions for the problems in those communities. But if you ignore that, I say pretty much you're giving the middle finger to the urban core for the last 40 years. And even though you have the right policies or whatever, people see that you're ignoring them. People see that you're already written them off. So how do you expect them to react? How do you expect them to vote for you if you don't show them no attention or you don't invest politically in them? People don't want to vote for Democrats. There's a lot of black people out here, or just regular people with common sense, that don't believe that biological boys should be playing girl sports. There's a lot of people who don't like all this transgender pushing on our children
in the schools.
In the schools.
Right.
A lot of people don't like the narrative that, oh, black people can't even get an ID. Dumbing us down like we don't even know how to get an ID.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But a lot of people don't like that stuff. But there's no other game in town. And if you want to play, if you want to be involved, you only got one team to play with. So I've been trying to provide an alternative to the voting electorate in Minneapolis. You have a choice with me, a polar opposite choice. Okay, I'm tough on crime. I'm not for this defund the police or reimagine the police. I'm pro law enforcement. I don't believe in restorative justice where if a teen or someone kills somebody, they get a slap on the wrist because, oh, they're black and they don't, that's a part of their culture and we need to feel pity for them for all the social injustice that's happened to their ancestors. What type of logic is that? That's why our streets aren't safe right now. Taking discipline out of schools because you say discipline is racist because most of the kids that were disciplined were of black or whatever ethnicity was not white. So you're going to take discipline out of schools. Now schools are out of control. Now you got staff in schools who are scared of the students. The students rule the school. There's no mechanisms in place, whether it's in the home or in the school system setting, where we can discipline our children. So now we're shocked that they're out of control, smashing 500 cars in a weekend, windows in downtown, shooting random kids while they're just playing in in their yard, carjackings, mugging old women and stealing their car. Come on, man. I mean, the Democratic policies of the last 20 years has gotten us to this point, but the Republicans not willing to promote conservatism in the urban core is also contributing to what we're dealing with. They've thrown their hands up to the urban core, and then they want to know why. Oh, why don't people want to vote for us? This is politics. Politics is what have you done for me lately game. What have you done for me lately?
The first thing, what I'm hearing, what's run through my mind, hey, let's say you're in Illinois, because I know I got an audience in Illinois, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm sure the same thing is going on in Chicago.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing you say is the first step is just show up.
You got to show up.
You got to show up.
You got to show you care. You got to show up. And if you want to win, you got to invest in that community.
But the
right?
first step
is just being there.
We started a thing here called Street Team. And I know this is going to be not exactly what we're talking about, but it's on the way there. We just go to all the Twins games and all the Vikings games because it is in the city. I realize it's not exactly what we're talking about, but we just show up and just hold signs to let people know it's okay to be a Republican.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, we just show up.
Because we need that.
We just show up. And people walk up to you and some of them are.
The Republicans have such a bad reputation amongst, the urban area. I mean, and it's not necessarily the Republicans' fault. This is decades and decades of a narrative and propaganda that, I remember back when I was in high school, back in 1990, and I remember people like Trent Lott and Newt Gingrich in the House, and all I could hear, from my immediate circle and remembering back, from the news coverage of that time was how racist Republicans were. I mean, they've been singing that song for decades. And after a while, it subconsciously it sinks in. But then in the reality of it, when you live in your life day to day and you don't see Republicans campaigning in your neighborhood, you don't see their message being directly marketed towards or at you. I mean, after a while, you start to really believe that, Republicans may be racist because they don't ever come around.
They don't care about us.
They don't care. They don't ever come around.
That is so not Republican. And I don't mean the party. I mean the philosophy of republicanism is about caring for your neighbor. There is an element of
but
that.
I don't want to be too. I can see both sides of the situation. And my position is that when I said earlier about showing up or being there, people who may not actually live in Minneapolis who are conservative don't necessarily have to come to Minneapolis to promote conservatism because you have people like me.
Okay.
I'm there. I've been there for 25 years. I'm underground. I'm doing whatever I can to promote conservatism to my friends, family, whatever environment I'm in. You know, there's other people as well. I mean, I managed a city council candidate in 2023 that for the first time in her life, because of Trump and sort of seeing how bad the Democratic Party has been under Biden, finally made the switch after being she's 61 years old. Finally was a Republican because of Trump, and she wanted to represent the fourth ward, Minneapolis fourth ward city council. So she ran for city council, and I was a campaign manager. But the reception from the party turned her away, made her feel like this was not the place for her to be, and that's the problem with the Republican Party. When you got messengers who want to spread the message of conservatism and you don't support us, you're hurting the party.
Laverne, welcome to Free People Radio. We're glad you're here.
Well,
Because
thank you for having me.
I personally believe in the dignity of every human life, and that as a Republican, I'm not interested in abandoning millions of people to the depravity of communism. I'm just
Right.
not. And I also know, as I said in the preamble, it's just going to spread. I
And
mean, it's just going to spread out.
and some of the commentary that I'm hearing around my current race for mayor from Republicans is that, well, maybe Fetah should win because then they get so bad, people have no choice but to vote for us. What kind of campaign strategy is that? What kind of winning strategy is that? That's not a fighting attitude. That's not a winning attitude. I mean, you're not even trying to compete. You're not even trying to challenge. If you believe in your conservative principles and values so much, why can't you advocate those principles and policies and values full-heartedly, 100%? Be proud of it. Spend money to promote that message. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you just wait till Fetah wins and then hope that maybe the next election people had enough and then they'll just vote for a random Republican just because he's a Republican?
When nobody's paying attention to the community, nobody's coming to the community, nobody's marketing the community. But what I'm hearing you say, there's a little beachhead of conservatives that are in the city.
They are, and most of them are black. But the previous Minneapolis BPOU chair pretty much pushed us out the party.
Were we talking about Mr. Sean Holster?
Yes, we are.
Oh, Mr. Sean Holster.
Yes.
Well, we've talked about him plenty on the Professor Penn podcast because, you know, he tends to have some. Well, I can only speak personally. I mean, I like taking a bomb run on Sean every chance I get because
It's easy.
Well,
It's too easy.
I went out
So much there.
I went out to breakfast with him and we broke bread, had a beautiful conversation. And I tried to put a deal together with him to do a debate during the 2024 cycle. And I didn't know that there was any animus between me and Sean. In fact, because what I do in politics, just like this, I'm reaching out to you. We could end up being friends. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, because politics really is peer to peer, right? It's personal.
Yeah.
So I try to make relationships with people, and I'm not judgmental. And the only time and I say this to all you people that don't like me, you got to lie to me to get me to go after you, or you got to lie publicly. If you don't lie, I don't mind disagreement. I'm a Republican.
Right.
After all, I don't demand some kind of ideological purity. My issue in the party, because I think we're so beat up as a party here in Minnesota, we got to put in a cornerstone of just telling the truth. Just let's start telling the truth.
That's a good start.
We're just working on step A.
Right.
Because George Washington, he couldn't tell a lie. Honest Abe Lincoln started our party. Honesty is part of being Republican.
Yes.
Because republicanism is anti-corruption.
Right.
So, but then that Sean, we had the campaign, Royce White for Senate in 2024, and Royce said, we're going to go have a march in Minneapolis on a Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember what it was. And, you can't get that many Republicans to show up. Maybe there was 30, 40, 50 of us. And we marched from over by the river, and we marched to the Federal Reserve,
Right.
just a march through the city. And Sean starts screaming, we're going to cause riots and we're going to have violence and it's going to be terrible. And I'm thinking to myself, you're telling me that 50 people with security can't walk at 12 noon on a Sunday up Hennepin Avenue? And you're going to tell me I'm going to cause you've actually given up now, okay? Because we can't have a public display of solidarity. It's a handful of people, but you got to start somewhere.
Right.
I'd like to have a march there, next summer with 25,000 people. I mean, really, this is, I mean, there's that old thing from, aim small, miss small. I'm
Right.
dreaming, man. I mean, if you don't dream, I look at things and go, what can we really do here? And I don't have the limitation. I believe in miracles. So Sean went after that march, went after Royce, called him a criminal and all this stuff.
There
And
seems to
then,
be a pattern of that particular individual attacking black conservatives.
yeah, but and
Uh,
then he attacked me and he told on X, he said I was I don't remember the exact, but he said I was schnooking the people, which is like scamming them. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I guess you must feel that way. And, because I'm Jewish, it's kind of gave me an anti Semitic feeling. I didn't like it. And, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but it bothered me that a party officer would use language that was questionable because we are Republicans.
yeah, I mean, he called me a thug grifter. So, I don't really even care about that, really. Or, I'm a grown man, honestly, I've been doing this for such a long time. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been running since I was in my 20s. I understand the game. I understand people. I understand the politics. I get, you know, some people aren't just gonna like you. You're gonna have enemies. Some people may be jealous of me. You know, and I really think that's where it really comes from. It's a sort of an animus out of jealousy. Because I ran for mayor in 2021, last minute decision. I got in a race in the middle of the summer, no infrastructure, no real plan. Didn't even want to run for mayor. Was never even thinking about running for mayor. But I came in fifth out of 15 candidates, a known Republican, and I ran as a Republican. So I figured, and to me, that showed a sort of a sign of some type of popularity amongst the Minneapolis voters, despite being a known Republican and run as a Republican. So I decided to run again and put way more effort into it and thought and run a real campaign. And I think my popularity bothers some people because, I think they think they know more than me. They think they're better than me. They think they have a greater understanding of the political game and who is this black guy, thug, North Side residents. He's too raw. He doesn't have any, he's not polished. He's not, but I'm like, but that's what people like me because I'm not polished. I'm not, I'm authentic. I'm not some suit, tie wearing, Carlton acting like, I'm so,
Carlton.
and I said Carlton because that's what black people think about Republicans,
I tell you what I say because you haven't heard this. I say, and I'm going to apply it to you. I'd prefer a Laverne to a white starched shirt wearing, blue suit wearing, red, white, and blue tie wearing, American
I think a
flag
lot,
lapel pin wearing BS
I
person.
think in this day and age, I call it the age I call it the era of Trump. People want authenticity. No matter what it is, be you. When I ran in 2021, um, my campaign outfit was my campaign T-shirt and my khaki shorts because it was hot outside. And I want to be dressed up in a long sleeve shirt and pants and a tie. And people are like, "Well, I'm going to vote for you just because you don't look like a politician. You look real, a real person." And I think a lot of people in the Republican Party are caught up with this, what the image of what a Republican candidate should look like.
Well, that's because if you're willing to bend the knee to assume the image, then you have then in your mind subordinated yourself to some kind of ideology.
Right. But I'm trying to break that because that's not going to serve the party well. I made up a term called urban conservative, just to be able to explain to people or constituents what type of Republican or conservative I am. Okay, I'm not a black conservative. I'm an urban conservative.
Okay.
Okay,
What's the difference?
there is none.
Okay. Marketing.
It's presentation,
Marketing.
right?
Marketing.
You know, I tell people, hey, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm a hip hop culture observer. I wear hoodies and Timbos on the, when it gets cold outside on the campaign trail. For Republicans to make inroads in the urban area, and especially the black community, since I'm black, we're talking about black people. We have to change what the perception of what a Republican is.
We might have to be cool. We might have to be cool.
Right.
No, this is very important.
That is important.
The Democrats control the music,
Yeah.
the art,
Yeah.
the cinema,
Yeah.
the universities, and we get these people coming up to be Republican candidates, and they can't walk and chew gum, and that means something in the community.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Because they go, man, this.
They don't want to vote for, because people vote for people that they see something in themselves, right?
Oh, that's a great point.
Right.
They can relate to it.
Right. So if you're not a Carlton, if you're not a bow tie wearing black person that went to an Ivy League school, you're not going to be attracted to that candidate.
In fact, I say this, and I'm going to mention a name, and you don't have to join in on this. This is just me talking. My opinion, my show. Kendall Qualls. I didn't have a problem with Kendall. I didn't even know Kendall. But Kendall, they brought Kendall into a meeting I was at. Alex Blackish brought him in, actually, to lecture us America Firsters, us, people that were in the American nationalist movement, on the importance of unity. The importance of unity. Unity, that we can beat the Democrat if we just unify. We got to put aside our internal differences and unify. And then I was at the 2024 Republican convention where Royce White won the nomination for Senate on the first ballot. And after I listened to Kendall excoriate me about unity, like 2 days later, he comes out and backs Joe Frazier in a primary challenge. And I'm thinking to myself, you're telling me to unify and then you act like this? Well, here's what I got to say about Kendall. And I don't know the man, and he might be a great person.
I don't know him.
I don't know him. But
I do know him, but
I'm going to tell you, he's kind of
I know of him. We've met.
Well, let me ask you a question. And you just tell me, just slap me back if I'm wrong. But isn't he a little bit Carlton for the community?
Yes.
Oh, so here's what I think about Kendall, for all you people that are backing him. Not only does he appear to the black community, which of course Republicans back him because he's black, but in the community, that's not working. And then the white racists outstate, they ain't gonna vote for him either. So he's a double downer, and he's getting all this money.
But the positive side to that is, even though he is seen as a Carlton in the black community, but if he would align himself with someone like me or the other black conservatives in Minneapolis, he can fix that.
Can I ask you a question?
He can fix that easily.
Just so people that don't know the reference Carlton, because it's an idiom, would that be from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? That's right. For any of you that want to go back and look at some great sitcom back in the day, it was a story of a young man who, very famous, actor. It was his first start. What was the name of that? I can't think of the name of
the Fresh Prince.
The Fresh Prince was
Will Smith.
Will Smith, right? Sorry, and he had some problem in Philadelphia,
right?
So he went out to L.A. to Bel Air, right? I think, right?
Bel Air.
And
lived with his uncle.
And his uncle was very successful. Judge got out of the city,
right?
And the judge's son was Carlton.
Yes.
So he had this inner city Will Smith, which, he wasn't really that inner city, but in the time it was situation comedy. And then he had his cousin, Carlton, who was wearing the bow tie and the chinos.
And dancing to the Tom, what's his name? Tom, what's the guy? So unusual.
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about the English guy. What's wrong with
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
So that that's his thing.
And Tom Jones pretty cool.
Right.
He's pretty cool.
So,
You ever seen Tom Jones sing Purple Rain?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man, check it out. He does a cover of...
He's still alive?
He is. He's still performing.
Okay.
Well, he's a badass voice. There's just something... actually, if you look at his body of work, he's pretty hip. Tom Jones is cool. And he
I
did
only know that one song, and that's because of Carlton.
no. He does a cover of Purple Rain that is off the chart, off the hook. It's
Oh, really?
great.
I'll have to look
Anyhow,
at that.
for those of you who never heard this idiom, Carlton, what Carlton is well, let me just talk. I'm married to the Chinese community. So we have this thing in the Chinese community, a banana. Yellow on the outside, white on the inside.
Okay.
No, that's Chinese people say that, right?
that's-
And that's really what you're saying that's what Carlton means,
Right.
kind of, right?
Yeah,
More or less.
He's black on the inside, but white, and he's black on the outside, white on the inside, pretty much, right?
Right.
Right.
And that doesn't really work downtown.
What is also, to me, actually a sad commentary that it actually does, that people actually feel like that. Because, in the black community, there's always this sense of trying to gauge and judge someone's blackness, right? And I don't really understand that, because...
But all communities, they do that in the Jewish community too. How Jewish are you? That's not unusual.
Well,
but go ahead.
But I think that hurts the way we do it in the black community. I think that hurts the black community because when a young child happens to be good in school or likes a certain subject and does good in it, and his peers or his family or somebody around him says, "Why you acting white? Because you like school," or why you study, or why you're acting white. That's a negative, connotation or application of that.
You want to hear how it works in the Jewish community? You ready? Why you want to play football? Why you want to be in that? Why you want to box?
So I guess it's in all cultures.
Oh, I'm just telling you. I mean, I had it. Why you want to learn? Why you want to do that military? Why you want to learn how to hurt people? What's wrong with you? Something wrong with you? Why you acting that way?
That's why I say people are people.
That's right. People are people.
Oh, but going back to Kendall, he could solve that problem easily. But
yes,
I can't say he hasn't, because to be, full transparency, we have been in communications lately. And I'm sure we're trying to build alliances and friends, whatever here and there. So I'm not attacking him. I'm just stating the obvious. You asked me a question: how does the black community see him? And I answered it.
I said it was my thing. I mean, they brought him in to lecture me about unity. I took it personal, and then when it came time for unity, there was no unity from him. So if you're going to preach it, you got to live it, because then you're just talking shit.
And that's kind of what
Excuse me.
I don't just talk the talk. I walk the walk.
Right.
And so a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people want to get away with just talking the talk, but not walking the walk. And that's why I'm running for mayor. I'm not no well-off, affluent guy. Me and my wife live check to check, but
like everybody, like most people,
and so my passion and drive comes from a different place.
But working check to check, there's a beauty in that people don't understand. Got to have faith to deal with that. You got to believe that there's going to be a good.
You got to be strong and be resilient, and have
and
this,
real,
and have this I'll never give up type attitude.
Right. I'm not going to get beat. And now we're talking about why I think there's a gap between particularly the suburban Republicans out here in CD3, people who are affluent. There's such a gap of understanding about how people live. I don't think, and for me, I've had hard times in my life. So when you have hard times, when you got to work just to not go down,
right?
Like, in other words, I'm not going down because I'm not giving up. Do you know what I'm saying?
But I don't begrudge people for having a good life. If their parents were able to provide them a good, comfortable, safe life, that's great. That's the American dream. It's just, I want to help my community and those who want to achieve the American dream. And the current political leadership in Minneapolis isn't helping provide that American dream.
Let me ask you a question. To the people that are black living in Minneapolis, or to you, Laverne Turner, define them. What is today the American dream? What does that mean?
To make as much money as you possibly can.
Okay.
And buy whatever you want.
Okay.
People want to be rich.
Economic freedom.
Yes.
Economic freedom.
That's what most people want, but especially I know that's what black people want.
They want to be economically free.
Yes. And that's why a lot of us are aspiring entrepreneurs, even though, the current narrative is that, black people can't even get IDs. But we're entrepreneurs. We want to start businesses. We're tired of the people telling us we can't. We need the government for everything. But so this.
Are you familiar with MEDA, the Minneapolis Economic Development Agency?
Yes, but my opinion is that's just another arm of the DFL, in their way of pandering to the black community that really doesn't end up with any results.
So the point of we're going to teach you how to be an entrepreneur, no, it's about finance.
Yes,
about getting resources,
capital investment, lenders, all that stuff. But at the same time, there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs who don't have a worthy product to be invested in. So it goes both ways. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying because a lot of the way a lot of black people look and describe aspiring business owners or entrepreneurs, and also the way the left talks about it when they want to give grant. We'll give you a $50,000 grant to start a business. It doesn't work that way. Because if you don't have a viable product or a viable service or a good that someone wants, you can get that grant and that's not going to help you. Because most likely, you're probably going to spend it on something else, or, it's pandering. It's buying votes. It's continuing that narrative that Democrats love minorities so much that they have all these different programs for, $50,000 for this, social services, healthcare, WIC, whatever it is. It's like trying to buy support, even though that support isn't going to help you in the long run or help you get to where you're trying to get. But it's pacifying people enough to keep voting Democrat. And that's all they really care about.
It sounds to me like it's a bookend, because on the one time, there's that pandering. You called it pandering.
It's pandering.
And then Republicans don't even show up. So,
like I said earlier,
at least they're showing up and putting on a show and tell story.
So what do you expect from people to do? At least they're like I said, they're voting for the only game in town. They're playing with the only game in town.
And for the people that are outstate that don't come into the city, the economic, we know that there's a lot of poverty in the city and problems, but is there a vibrant, growing entrepreneurial class of people in the city that are opening businesses?
Well, I won't say open. When I say aspire, I mean aspire have an idea, they have a concept, but they have no idea how to make it successful.
Okay.
Or the resources to make it successful. Like when I go to all these festivals, on the summer, Juneteenth, Open Streets, it's about to be the fall now, so there's going to be some more events, going into Labor Day and whatever. And you have all these aspiring entrepreneurs. They might bake sweets or cookies or something, or whatever they do, barbecue or fish or whatever their dream is. They're going to be at these festivals hoping that, or thinking that what they're doing at this festival is a part of the path to their success. Well, that's not necessarily the case. If you can't get a lender to fund you or some real investment capital, you're kind of just going through the motions of acting like you're a business person, but really not even doing anything to make that a real reality. You know what I mean? You're playing business person.
Is there an cultural awareness in the community of what it takes to actually own and operate and make a business successful? Or is that fundamental knowledge really not part of people's lives?
I think some people do know what it takes. I just think that they don't have the opportunity or the access to venture capital.
I'm just going to say this, and I'm just talking about my own experience, and I'm not saying this is right, wrong, or indifferent, because I didn't come from money, and I didn't come from business people. I come from, my father taught at the University of Minnesota, and we were middle class because university, takes care of its people, but we weren't rich. I mean, we didn't get on airplanes and go on vacations. Vacation was drive up to the Boundary Waters and, hang out in nature for 2 weeks. And, there wasn't anything rich about my background. And, I get this thing because I got to be like 18, 19 years old, and I had this academic path laid out for me like you did. And I said, I want to get rich. I mean, really, I just had this feeling like I don't want to do this. I don't want to be shackled to the university life. I want to walk I had no idea I'm just figuring it out now.
Right.
I mean, because it's not my background. But I actually, my first apartment, the bed came out of the wall, and I drove a car that I rented from a company, and you'll get this, Ole's Rent-A-Wreck. And I opened a business when I was 18 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. But the thing that made that business work and what's making my business work today is I just won't go down.
Right.
I mean, I'm taking a beating. I mean, really a beating because it's been very hard. I mean, and I just think about in the city after the 4 years of that Biden administration and the inflation and the COVID thing and everything that's happened, it's been so hard on experienced entrepreneurs like
Right.
me. They call it the middle market, or I don't like this. I call it the middle market because it sounds so much better to me than small business. I don't like that when you got a small business. Yeah, fuck you and your small business. Okay. Excuse me, Tanner.
You're good.
But I feel that way because it's pejorative, right? I feel
Right.
that way. But the middle market, entrepreneurs that come up from the community and open businesses to support their families, economic freedom. It's been so hard on experienced people that I can only imagine.
How tough it is for.
Oh, it's got to be
It
just
always-
like a mountain.
It is. But, like I said, they're still trying.
Well, that's my point.
They're still trying.
You got to, if you want to do it, you got to do it. You got to fake it till you make it.
But I want to be able to be. I don't want to go into specific policy stuff because I have a huge economic revitalization plan for Minneapolis, but I don't want to go into that right now. But I do want to be able to provide people with the access to because I know there's people who do have good products and that someone who had capital invest would want to invest in. I want to be able to provide them with the access to that capital. I want to be able to sit down with the banks and be like, hey, let's be more lenient on sort of giving out loans or whatever, as long as they have a good product and they have a great business plan and get your money back. Let's give these aspiring entrepreneurs a chance. Okay, let's give them a chance in my new Minneapolis economy for the 21st century. Let's try it. Okay, so I want to be able to not just promise stuff and say, hey, I want to help you, or I want to actually help people navigate and give them the access that they need to try to make their dreams come true. And I'm not talking about government grants, because a lot of people in Minneapolis, they make their money off of nonprofit work, right? And they call that a business.
I'm going to tell you, I don't think Minnesotans really understand this NGO.
They don't.
There's, I think, over 30,000 NGOs just in Minnesota.
I
Just in
I
Minnesota.
wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I mean, and who monitors all that is Attorney General Keith Ellison.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And these NGOs are, in large part, and some of them are majorly funded by the government.
Yes, all of them. Especially the ones in my neighborhood in North Minneapolis. When we talk about NGOs, we're talking about the violence interrupters.
Say that again. What do we call them?
The violence interrupters.
The violence interrupters.
That's the current city communist council, which I call them, and Jacob Fry's community policing efforts after the George Floyd riots and trying to to me, they're defund the police movement. Let's give these money to common citizens, these NGOs that hire common citizens to be, I don't know what you call them. They're not police officers, or they don't have any skills, they don't have any training. But the point is, a lot of these, especially Minneapolis, the nonprofits, they get government funding, which is, of course, given out to them by the leadership who are Democrats.
And this is state funding.
A lot of it, well, no, some of it is
federal.
Well, all of it's federal, but it depends on who's giving it out. It can go to the state, can give it out, the county can hand it out, the city can hand it out. So there's different levels of municipalities who have access to give out to these type of.
But it is taxpayer money.
Yes.
So the taxpayers
Paying for this.
We're all paying for
And
this.
I don't know if you heard about this, but one of these violence interrupters groups actually had a shootout with, I'm assuming, a drug dealer in the neighborhood, and ended up one of the stray bullets went into a little child's bedroom. So that particular violence interrupter group lost their funding because of that incident.
I heard about it.
Okay, but these are the same people who are sort of they get these contracts from the government because it's part of the political hierarchy of getting the current elected officials reelected.
I think they call it the patronage system in the days gone by.
I call it pandering and cronyism. That's
Okay.
what I call it.
Okay.
And the only people that get these grants are the ones that the current leaders, the current elected officials know are going to support them in the next election.
So they get an income through an NGO. Could be a pretty good income.
Very good income.
I mean, someone could be, pretty good, $200,000-300,000 a year.
Try two of these organizations got $1.5 million for 26 and 27.
So then the
From
chief
the state.
executive officer and the officers of the NGO, because it does function like a business, they see it as a business. Now they have money in their pocket.
Yep.
So now they can write the donation
Back
to the local Democrat candidate.
and tell all their followers and all, because most of these are churches, right? Most
Okay.
of these are churches.
Okay. Getting down to it now.
So now you not only are you cutting some little kickback checks to the people that gave you those grants, you're also telling your congregation and the people that follow you in the community to vote for you.
Well,
vote
when
for
you
them.
call it a kickback, okay, now there's a legal meaning to that.
Yeah, I know what I said,
I know it. Okay.
and I'm standing by that.
Okay. So what's your
Especially even in the Feeding Our Future case, there's a list of the Somali so-called business owners or nonprofit people that's claiming to feed all these children and how much money they got for the program and how much political contributions they gave back to these candidates. I have that list. So I don't know what you call that. Something look like a kickback to me.
It called a legal kickback. It's a legal kickback. It's legal. I mean, this is something I've noticed because I have a lot of friends that live in Mexico. I've been down to Mexico many times. In Mexico, the corruption, now this goes back, I've been doing this for decades because I just have. I don't know why that guy ended up in it. In Mexico, when I started going down there, I thought, man, this place is corrupt. Because, I'm an American and I'm going back now 30 years or 20 years ago when this started. I hadn't had that awakening.
Right.
And I saw this corruption down there and I thought, man, how do you guys put up with this? And my friend down there, he said, Migo, come on. What we're doing is small duke compared to what you all got going on up
Right.
Norte. And I watched and I thought about that and I said, when you live in a society where you don't see the corruption because it's so well managed, it's legal, because what we're talking about is legalized corruption.
Yeah.
It's not corruption if it's legal, but that doesn't mean it's ethical
Right.
or moral
Right.
or that it serves the people. And then all the taxpayers of this country, and particularly the state of Minnesota or whatever state you're in, because these NGOs are in every state. These is how the Democrat Party wields its influence and its power. And here in Minnesota, Republicans, our Republican Party leaders are rather loath to call this out until it serves them politically. If you're a sheepdog,
That's a good way to describe it.
well, if you're a sheepdog, you're defending the sheep.
Right.
Okay, don't talk about it afterwards when it gets you a bowl of dog food.
Right.
The idea with corruption is call it out as it's happening. You don't have to have political power to tell the truth and awaken the people to what's going on. You just need a little courage.
And well, courage is definitely missing in the current Minnesota GOP right now. I've been saying that for a minute.
I'm a
'Cause
Republican. I'm a Republican
'cause
Party.
I'm trying to figure out, what is really stopping Republicans from doing what, I think it's obviously the right thing to do, which is to stop ignoring the urban core if you want to win statewide, don't just be complaining about, oh, we can't win a statewide election because of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Well, why is that? Why aren't you campaigning there? Why aren't you dumping $1 million in North Minneapolis to campaign to the black community? Why aren't you just investing $5 million just to canvass and campaign and fund workers to advocate for you in Minneapolis and St. Paul? Why not do that? You don't have to be there yourself. There's Republicans in the urban core like myself who would gladly, take a little check to campaign for you and get all my friends and family to be like, hey, this is a good guy right here. I know this person. He's for this, this, and this, and this. You don't have to do it. Let us do it. Why not?
You want to do it.
I want to do it, but you refuse to let me do it. And that's the problem.
Why do you think that is?
I've thought about this over the years.
You can speculate all you want to.
It's pretty much speculation, but I've thought about this over the years, and I come up with either two things. One, they don't care, really.
Okay.
Two, they don't want to spend the money.
Okay.
Three, they want to sort of hoard whatever little power they have already. They don't care about anything else.
How about it benefits them? How about it's a benefit
Well,
to the overall goals?
I think that falls under the hoarding the power thing.
Okay, right. I get. You know what pisses me off? I'm entitled to get pissed off about certain little things. So there's a Republican news source. It's a competitor of Free People Radio. It's well established, Alpha News.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Alpha News does or doesn't do some good things in the community. I don't know, but I follow them on X, and every week another blackface got arrested. Blackface, 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 blackface. All this black crime getting reported. And what it does out here in CD3 where I live, it just scares the hell out of the Republicans that are out here in the suburbs. Like there's something inherently violent and criminal about the black community. And it's being reinforced with this news narrative.
That ain't nothing new, bro. That's been a narrative since before I was born. That narrative existed when I was a teenager. I grew up in the just say no to drugs. We're on gangs. We're on drugs. That ain't nothing new. But my thing is that shouldn't even matter anymore because my perspective is I don't expect I don't have this white savior complex. I don't expect some white person to save me. I don't want people to be like, I need this white person for me to be successful. I don't need some white person to save me. I don't need that. I don't want that. Let me do me and I'll achieve my own success. But don't try to stop me. I mean, because you can try to stop me, but I'm not gonna let you stop me anyway. But the point is, when I talk to people in Minneapolis about politics and about participating in our representative government that we're blessed to be a part of, if we don't participate, if we don't actively exercise our God-given rights as citizens to participate and hold our elected officials accountable, we deserve whatever we get, right? Because we're forfeiting. If we don't involve ourselves in participation, we're forfeiting our rights, right? Our say so. So whatever policy we get, that's what we get. We deserve because we're not participating. They always say the black population is like 13% or whatever, and there's a smaller portion that votes or don't vote. Minneapolis last election for 2021, I believe roughly maybe 137,000 votes were totally cast for the whole election, right? 137 people voted. 137,000 people voted. Minneapolis is a town of 500,000 people. So we leaving 375,000 votes on the table just because people don't believe in the system anymore. They don't think it even matters. The reason why black people don't vote, we've pretty much given up on having any faith in the process.
Is that something that you hear from your cohorts?
All the time. People, that's politics. They say that ain't meant for us, and nothing ever changes. Look, we voted for Obama, shit got worse. In politics, That's white people's game. That ain't got nothing to do with us. We don't. People don't believe in the system, and we have a right to. We have a right to because all our existence in this country has been oppressive. From being here from slavery, whatever. What's the next after that?
Jim Crow.
Jim Crow,
Reconstruction, Jim Crow.
KKK, segregated South, civil rights movement. The people that benefit the most from our struggle for the civil rights movement are white women, homosexual, the gay and lesbian community, and any other group. They're people are tired. We just don't.
In other words, other groups
are benefited
capitalized on the civil rights movement.
And so we're just like, man, screw it. But
we're out.
We're done. And but when we do that, we don't realize that we're making things worse for ourselves. And if we really want to the American dream, or if we really want to improve our status in society where people don't have that image that we're just inherently violent people, we could change that narrative if we wanted to. We could, but we don't, because we don't even really care what they think. We don't care about the process. We don't care about none of that. We're just trying to live, make some money, and go about our life. We have no faith in the system. How can you have faith in the system that's always fucked you over in our existence of being in this country? And to this day, let's take the illegal immigration push. Having all these illegal immigrants, for any American-born true citizen, what Biden did and all the previous influx of illegal aliens coming to America, that hurts all our citizenship. It devalues all of our citizenship. But particularly for the Black community, who struggled so long and so hard from slavery to civil rights till now, to have some type of equality in this country, we're allowing ourselves to become second-class citizens again by accepting or thinking it's okay to allow all these illegal immigrants to stay in this country. And that's a problem, because most Black Americans don't even value our own citizenship.
So are the NGOs in the city working to get the community to accept?
Of course. NGOs, candidates. I mean, I know at least 3 are Black candidates that's running for city council or some kind of office, and they support the Democrats' position of stopping ICE from taking illegal criminal aliens out the state.
Can I give you a surprise? There's a lot of Republicans that agree with that too.
That agree with what? That ICE shouldn't be removing?
That the newcomers should be supported because it's a business. It's a business.
I understand that, but the Republicans that feel like that, they're fools. And the Black people who are advocating for this to the Black community, advocating that supports something that makes us second-class citizens again, are just as big as fools as the Republicans. And I'll say it all day.
And people are going to say, what do you mean Republicans are supportive of illegal immigration? Well, I'm going to tell you, I've called some of them out, and they don't like it. Because you're either going to, well, we got, no, it's not personal for me.
No, it's for them.
But where I live in an area called Senate District 45, and the House member in 45A is a man named Representative Andrew Myers. And I looked on his X because I follow these people, and there was a picture with him and Hennepin County Sheriff Katarina Witt. And the caption was, so glad, I'm paraphrasing.
You mean Deanna Witt?
Deanna Witt, I'm so sorry. There isn't a Katarina Witt. Yes, the Hennepin County Sheriff, excuse me. Thank you. So the caption was, paraphrasing, I'm so glad to be with Hennepin County Sheriff Witt. And I support everything. We're so glad to work together, and we support her fully. And the next day, she came out and said in a press release, we are not going to assist ICE. And I went to this representative. I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, it has nothing to do with that. I said, no, brother. You're going to have to prove that to me, because what it looked like to me is you were putting out a sign to all leftists in your district that you're down with this.
Right.
And it's very subtle and it's very tricky. But, the entire Republican Party, is not with the Trump
The America
effort.
First agenda, right?
And what you're saying is, which I think is critical, that Republicans, because what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for ideas and issues that unite everyone in the state. And we live in a globalist state, and this illegal immigration, nobody is really thinking about what it's doing in the city. I mean, you're thinking about it.
It's back to what you said about being a business. A lot of these people in Minneapolis, whether they're an NGO or a candidate or an elected official, even though, because I know a candidate that's running for the Fourth Ward City Council against Fetah, the current city council person. I've spoken to her privately, and she agrees with my position. She agrees that we should be, mass deporting illegals. She agrees that allowing them to stay is making us second class citizens and devaluing our citizenship. She agrees with me privately. But because she's a part of the DFO party, she doesn't want to lose her support. She doesn't want to lose that financing. She doesn't want to lose the funding that goes to her nonprofit when she's not running. She's still publicly advocating the opposite. Because personally, that affects her personal finances. Instead of just doing what's right.
So they put her on the payroll and they're buying her compliance.
And she's not the only one, but I'm just giving you that example. It's all over the place. So someone like me, and they laugh at me, "Oh, Laverne, you just Republican." You agree with me. But if you come out and say that publicly, what I just said, it's going to cost you. And you don't want that. But that also tells me that when they get in the voting booth, they're probably going to vote for me because privately they agree with me.
You know that 11%, there's 20 sanctuary counties in Minnesota that were identified by the Department of Homeland Services as sanctuary counties. 11% of the budgets of those counties is dedicated towards servicing the quote-unquote newcomer community. We're talking about we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is business, and that's why some Republican elected officials give these silent signals that they're fine with it because they want that tax revenue dollars for their districts.
That's exactly correct.
That's it.
Well, that's not right.
No, it's not. But hey,
nothing.
That's why, cities like Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Bloomington, Edina, Richfield, Columbia Heights, New Hope, they're taking in more. They're taking more applications for what they call it, public housing,
right?
Because they want that tax revenue, they want that money coming into their city.
I'm going to tell you something. I live right on the boundary of Minnetonka and Plymouth. You go right across the street, you're in Plymouth. I mean, I live in Minnetonka. You go just a little bit south of where I live, and you hit the $40 million homes. You go across the street from where I live, and the homes are $175,000. And right next to my house, right next door, there's 20 Spanish speakers living in one house. I'm talking about my next door to me. They're cool. They don't come out of the house, never any problem. There's 20 people living in a 2-bedroom home. Up the block, there is, 8, 10. And I'm not saying this to be Islamophobic. I'm just saying they're Islamists. They're Muslims living in this home. These people are brand new to the community. And those people, when I walk by the home, they glare at me. So it's a little bit threatening. But my point is, when you talk about that public housing, the reason the city allows that is there's public money for that.
Yeah.
And so when you say it's what people don't understand about government.
But then it's also tied to that government dependency thing.
Right.
So in districts that are more affluent, traditionally like Minnetonka, Wayzata, Hopkins, blah blah blah, they allow the influx of that tax base to come in, but it's still also depending having that dependency class for the Democrats, right? So that builds up their voting base in those areas.
They're expanding out into the
Yes.
suburbs by
Yes.
expanding their programs
through all the social
by
services.
any means necessary,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So for all the Republicans,
That's
go
why.
ahead.
That's why. All the inner ring suburbs, like I said, Richfield, Edina, that's why they're going progressive and almost DSA, right? Outer ring suburbs, Maple Grove, whatever's around that.
They're on the way.
Their redness is getting pink, right? Because there's so many of these people being allowed, I should say, are moving there who are dependent on the government. And if you depend on the government, you're going to vote to keep your dependency on government, right? So that's why we're losing so many seats in the House or in the state legislature is because they are expanding outwards, but the cities that they're expanding to, they want that government tax increment financing that comes from having these social services, and I forgot all the stupid little code language they have for.
They got more
whatever
programs than Carter's got pills.
Right. So I don't want to try to name everything, but they do this. And it's working, That's why Maple Grove is barely red now when it used to be staunch red.
Right.
Bloomington. When I grew up, Bloomington was red.
And let me just make a comment.
Edina was red.
Where I live in Wayzata, in Minnetonka. I mean, CD3 up until Eric Paulson in 2016 trashed Trump, trashed him. The district went blue, and now it's 60-40 district.
Right.
And, that happened for a lot of different reasons. But, go ahead.
You can go far out as far as Shakopee in the Jordan area.
Changing out there, too.
That's Angie Craig's area. They can't beat Angie Craig out there. So what does that tell you? That liberalism is pouring over all.
And, of course, they have the university.
But
the university is part of it, getting everybody educated that way. And culture, music, television, movies. And so here we come now. And what I'm saying to the Republican Party officers that are listening to me, who can get to Alex Plex, who can get to the top people, back to this von Clausewitz, war is politics by other means. That means politics is war by other means. We got to get these people interested in defending their home base so they have less time and resources to come out into the rest of the state.
And that was a part of my message and strategy when I was courting donors, is that, hey, if you don't want the mess that's in Minneapolis to spread to where you are, you need to support me so I can fight it, on the front lines behind enemy lines here.
That was George Bush's pitch about why we need to go over and occupy Afghanistan and Iraq. We got to fight them over there so they don't come over here, right? It's the same idea, and it's uncontested. You're not by yourself, but you're not getting the institutional support that you need.
Right.
And what I'm saying to all the party officers all over the state that hear this, that know me, we have to start reimagine our strategy, because our strategy is not a winning strategy. In fact, we're the Washington Generals.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're
the bad news bears.
We had
politics.
We had the Carlton, and now we got the idiom of the. And for those of you that don't know the Washington Generals, because I think some of you don't know it, I love the Harlem Globetrotters because it was cool, right?
It was fun, entertaining.
But it was entertaining. They were basketball wizards, but they had a team of losers that traveled with them, and they were the Washington Generals. They were the controlled opposition. They were there just to be on the court
and humiliated.
And that's correct. and awfully, Meadowlark Lemon was a master at it, so, and that's who we've become. And then I listened to the party hierarchy say, we've got such a great chance in 2026. First of all, the party is broken in two. Let's just be frank. We got your problem, which is your million people between St. Paul and Minneapolis getting ignored.
Yeah.
Because Rondo's just like North.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a in-state urban divide.
Yeah.
That's a chasm. But that in the party, it's going to be a throwdown now. I mean, in the party itself.
Look, that's kind of always been the case with our party, right? I mean, the libertarian wing is always mad at somebody. The I shouldn't say extreme, but the Christian conservative wing don't like somebody because of this. The moderate Republicans are mad at everybody. You know, there's never really been any unity in the party, as far as I know.
Well, it was unified during Reagan.
Oh, well,
I mean, I was a voter, and
I was a youngster then.
I was an adult. There have been moments of relative unity. Relative. You know, Reagan was the outgrowth of the. I mean, we're really having the same fight that's been in the party since the '60s,
Right.
which is the globalist wing of the party, which really dominates the Minnesota GOP hierarchy, and then the citizens. You know, this goes back into the. It goes the way back. You go back to Barry Goldwater if you want to, and you know,
Right.
with him, racist. You know, so you know everybody's throwing around.
Even though Goldwater was ahead of his time, but
that's correct. But you know, it's about the narrative that comes afterward because whoever controls the history controls what young people think about it. But this fight, it goes back all the way to the beginning of our country. Are we going to have an empire, or are we going to be a republic? That's really the question. And I think the people in Minneapolis, I'm going to ask you, not what I think. The people in Minneapolis that you go out to breakfast with and hang out with, do you all care about the far-flung empire of the United States of
No.
America?
No.
Would you please talk to the Republicans who are listening, who are, because I got a lot of these people listening because they hate me. And I keep saying, we can't have a republic and an empire at the same time. You know, we don't have to retreat. We need a strategic redeployment.
Well, the reason why I say no is because people are struggling. Okay? Example, let's take the Ukraine-Russia war, and let's take the Israeli.
Palestinian thing.
Yeah, let's take that. Where I'm from, in my neighborhood, where I live at, we don't give a damn about either one of them. We struggling on our own. You know, we trying to eat. We trying to take care of our kids. We don't care what Zelensky and Putin talking about. We're mad that the American government gave them what, $60 billion or
Would have been
100.
$300 billion. We're never going to
Whatever-
know.
what-
That number's bouncing around like a ping pong ball.
And, we got people in what I hear people say when I talk to them, they're like, man, we got people here starving. We got people on the streets overdosing on drugs in our corners, and they giving $350 million to Ukraine. That's what my community's talking about. We don't give a damn about Israel and well, when I say my community, I'm talking about black people. Black people who aren't political pundits, who aren't a part of the activist class.
Okay.
We don't care about the Israeli-Hamas beef. That's been going on since before Jesus could walk on water. That ain't got nothing to how I'm going to pay my electric bill or my water bill or my rent or have enough food to feed my kids this week or put money in my tank to drive my kids to school or go where I need to go. None of that stuff is irrelevant to us. We want our lives to improve where we are right now, not 300,000 miles, 3,000 miles away on each side of the world. Those things are just shit that we hear on TV. That's just new. We don't care about none of that. We want our kids to be able to go outside without being worried about being shot by some random bullet, or we don't want our mother or ourselves being carjacked at gunpoint, and we don't want our windows smashed in every freaking weekend. We don't care about none of that shit. We don't care about none of that.
Can I tell you a secret? I don't care either. And you know, and when I say that, boy, you wouldn't believe, I just had a Jewish man excoriate me, who's a friend of mine. But I'm an American, and I look at this and I think about it like empire. I mean, you go up.
Don't get me wrong. I want America. I'm MAGA. I'm MAGA forever.
Okay, cool.
I'm keep America great
I didn't ask,
forever.
but that's great. Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want America's leadership or role in being the dominant force in the world, because honestly, we need America to be that.
Okay.
But at the same time, it seems like those external battles are taking precedent over the problems of Americans.
The well-being of America.
The well-being of America. And that's the issue for me, in my community.
Well, let me just say this back. You see America's importance as a force in the world for good.
Good, yes.
But let's do good.
Right.
Let's walk the walk.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we be out there telling other people how to live when our own core cities have fallen into squalor and
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And the people that live in those cities know that.
Right.
That is the price that's being paid to have this worldwide empire. But it's not the empire, it's the wars.
Right.
I mean, if it was it wouldn't have to be an empire with wars if it was such a
There's
good
nothing really wrong with the word empire. I don't really, that doesn't, it's words. Whatever whatever you want to call it. Empire, American influence, American business relationships. I don't care what you call it. I want America to stay strong. I want America to stay dominant, but stop ignoring Americans while you're doing it. That's all I care about.
That's a clip.
Yep.
That's stop ignoring the citizens. And you talked a lot about the devaluing of your citizenship
Right.
because of the open borders. And that's why I call it an empire. Because if your playground is the world, there's no borders. I mean, we have military all over the world.
That sounds like some Democrat, socialist, communist stuff that the left was on in Biden's administration. I don't think Trump is on that. I mean,
He's
he closed the
definitely
border.
not.
He closed the border.
Right, it's changed.
So and he's deporting people that he should be deporting, and I hope he continues to keep doing that, and not just focusing on the criminal element. And what really bothers me about the immigration topic and conversation is they say, oh, he's focusing on the criminal element, the most violent, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But then they say, well, then there's this other class of illegal immigrants that aren't criminals. No, that's not true. Because when you come into the country illegally, you're committing a crime right there, right? How are you getting a job?
Illegally.
How are you getting social services?
Illegally.
If you ain't got no ID, if you ain't got no documentation, you're committing crimes. So don't tell me that this so-called non-violent illegal immigration people aren't, committing crimes. They are. They are. How are they getting bank accounts? Somebody's giving them IDs, and if they got an ID, that's identity theft or identity fraud. That's a crime.
Okay.
So don't tell me they're not committing crimes. I can't go in with no fake. I can't get a job without an ID. I can't get a bank account without an ID. But I'm an American citizen. That's why I said what they're allowing these immigrants to do is making us second-class citizens because they have rights that I'm not even afforded to have myself.
How do people feel about that? Do they know about it?
When I describe it or explain it like that, it pisses them off because they don't really think about it like that.
Who are they mad at? Who do they get mad at? Is it the system?
System.
So they're not seeing a difference between Democrats and Republicans. It's the system.
They don't care. People don't care about Democrat or Republican. Like comment people, the people that support me, and the reason why they support me is because they don't care that I'm a Republican or I'm a conservative. They know Laverne Turner. They know for 20 years he drove their children around all over the metro for basketball tournaments when I coached them and out of my pocket. I fed them out of my pocket. They don't care about me being a Republican or not. They know Laverne. Okay? Same thing goes with other stuff. They're so wrapped up in their own lives. They're like a pox on both their houses. To Democrat Republicans, the same to them. They're just the powers that be. They're the ominous.
What does the Republican Party need to do to distinguish itself so that it is not viewed as a pox on both their houses, not viewed as the same thing?
Maybe this might be a shameful plug, but support somebody like me. Get behind me 100%. A real individual.
Well, let me just, okay. So everybody that's listening, because there's a lot of Republicans in the state that hear you. And yes, I mean, it is a Don Quixote kind of thing to win in Minneapolis, but you got a beachhead there. How do people find your website? What's the handle? What is your address for your website?
My website is www.turnaround, like turn around, Minneapolis.
TURNER ROUND.
Minneapolis.
The whole word written out.
MPLS.
Turn around
Turner.
MPLS.
Turner
Turner around MPLS.com.
MLS.com.
And so You
I'll
know,
make it a little easier for everybody. Hey, it'll be down in the description. So if you're trying to find the website, just look down in the description. We'll have all the plugs.
because we got all these Republicans listening all over the country, And, in your state, in my state, we got to get into the city. That's why I invited you here, because I'm dedicated to this. I'm losing money doing it. I'm not grifting it. I mean, people call me a grifter. Sean called me a grifter.
I get that all the time.
I mean, and we're going in the hole on the deal.
Right.
I mean, it's a loser. We're doing it because we love the people, we love the state, we love the
I'm a
country.
grifter that been for 20 years has been called a coon, a sellout, a Republican kiss ass. Yeah, I'm a grift. Yeah, I'm really grifting. That's what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of it? But doing what's right.
Salvation possible.
But doing what's right.
Right.
And being a good example to my 3 sons, who I hope will live in a better Minneapolis than the one they've grown up in.
Okay.
My sons grew up in the era of Minneapolis where I could not send my sons outside and feel safe than anything, just in the yard, that they would feel safe, they could play outside. I couldn't let my kids ride the bike in the neighborhood because, people ignore traffic laws and rules and regulations. There's nothing safe about Minneapolis right now. If you're walking on the street, being a pedestrian in Minneapolis is a death sport right now. People aren't abiding. They're not listening. They're not abiding by traffic laws or regulations. There's no law enforcement on the street. There's no repercussions or consequences to anything. I mean, it's like the old, what do you call it? The old West right now.
Wild West.
Wow, it's this cops. I've been driving down the street and I've seen someone run a red light, and the cop is right behind that person that ran the red light, and the cop let him go. Didn't even stop. Just ignored it because they don't want the hassle of another George Floyd. So people feel like they can do whatever they want because there's no deterrence. There's no consequence.
What are they expressing? The people that are acting this way, what are they psychologically expressing breaking all these rules? Are they?
They can just do it. Who's going to stop me? What's going to happen? They feel emboldened because of the last 6 years of law enforcement getting a bad rap. They're the bad guy. So if they break the law, they're the good guy.
Okay.
There's no consequence. There's no deterrence. And when I become mayor, there will be deterrence. I'm going to be tough on crime. I mean, super tough on crime. And when people ask me, hey, well, Turner, what do you mean by being tough on crime? And what I say to people is, fuck around and find out.
Okay.
And not just the criminal element. I'm talking about city attorneys, Hennepin County Attorney's Office, judges. If you're not giving people proper sentences for the crimes they commit, I'm going to do whatever I can from the bully pulpit to raise recalls, fund recalls. People are going to do their jobs. They're going to protect the citizens of Minneapolis under my watch. I'm not allowing none of this social justice stuff or none of this is going to fly. If you're not protecting my citizens and you're in a position of power, especially in the law or judicial area of it, like prosecution, we will be at odds. We will be. I'll take you to the Supreme Court if I have to, because you're not doing your job. You're not protecting the citizens of Minneapolis.
Is that the fundamental building block of restoring Minneapolis? Is restoring some higher level of order?
Yes,
that's the start.
Order is gone. There is no order.
And when do you? Timeline for that? How long has that been, or has it always been this way?
It's been getting there slowly. It's been a slow drip over the last 16 years, but after the riots and COVID, it's just went into hyper mode.
Out of control.
Just out of control. Totally out of control.
I feel like after the riots, a lot of inner city folk, they realized that the police force is not as powerful as they thought they were. At least with like smashing windows, that's what I noticed. Because around the riots, that got really popular. And now my child's mother, she lives close to North Minneapolis. And within 1 year, she had her windows smashed 3 different times.
Let me just say this. The whole north side of Minneapolis, at any given shift, has 4 police officers on duty.
Yikes.
4.
That's hilarious. It's not
And
it's not protect or serve. It's clean up, contain and clean up.
it ain't even that.
Not even that.
It's not even that.
They don't even show up.
Don't even show up. And over south, at the George Floyd Square, the businesses there, there's been a police no-go zone since the riots. The city is ordering cops not to even go to George Floyd Square. The businesses there are suffering because there's so much crime. No one wants to go there and and spend money at their businesses.
Nobody wants to be in the neighborhood.
And how does the city tell its police officers not to respond to crime? You don't go there. You can't go there. What kind of policing? What is that?
Well, I don't know what it is. What is that?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
You don't know where these people are coming from.
Mm-mm.
Well, if a city is not protecting its citizens, it's not a city.
It's not a city.
It becomes something else. What'd you call it? The Wild West.
That's all it is. Vigilante justice. That's why you have so many of these little shootings going on, because there's no one out here to arrest anybody, investigate anybody. So if someone is shot, that vigilante Wild West justice is going to happen, because they're going to get justice and shoot somebody else that caused that. It's just going around. And there's no, and they do it because there's no deterrence. They can have these gang shootouts and wars and not fear of getting caught because there's no deterrence. It's like Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp and whoever just
so all the regular citizens that are there.
And we're what they call it, being held hostage under all this crap.
And then the Republican Party doesn't even show up.
Don't even care
to help, to put some. So, if you're a Republican Party officer, any place in the country, Republican, American citizen, a Democrat, we got a beachhead here in Minneapolis. Let's foster it. Let's give it some support. And, we just met for the first time. I had a really good time meeting you. I mean, I think you're eloquent and your insights are gritty, and I like it. I mean, I just want people to know.
That's new.
What? What?
Most people don't like my style.
I was gonna
Most people
say-
don't like my delivery. They say I'm too raw, I'm too hard, I'm too rough around the edges. I'm like, man, I'm just me. I'm just real.
I can see why people complimented you on, oh, you just feel like a real person. I also respect it.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, we want real people in politics. I do. Now, I don't want to say we, because not everybody does, but I do. And I'll tell you why. Because I've watched this for many decades, and I've seen all these white starch shirt wearing, blue suit wearing, lapel pin wearing college graduates, married their high school sweethearts, got 3 kids, served in the military. They're perfect on paper, and they gave us this mess.
Right.
And so, there was an old thing. You can't let the inmates run the asylum
Right.
unless the doctors are mass murdering fuckheads. Then at that point, we have to take a shot.
Right,
we got to
right.
we got to shoot our best shot, and that's where I'm coming from. I mean, I would like our elites that are educated at Harvard and served in the military to serve our communities and make for a safe country and for a prosperous country and for well-being citizenship. I know how bad the health is in the community. I know it's terrible. I mean, these are the people that brought us the food pyramid and all the sugary drinks and all the things that put people, the diabetes level of the young black children that are on programs, the juvenile diabetes level is crazy.
Yeah.
If the government programs were so good, I mean, the government loves us so much. Why are all the kids so sick? Why are they so obese?
Right.
You had a heart attack at 46 years old. Why'd that happen? Okay, at school,
And I was an athlete. I played. For me, I think after I settled down and had kids and my life slowed down, and plus I was a primary caregiver to my children, so I was always, I gained weight, and I think the stress level of trying to run my nonprofit, being blacklisted by all the government entities that wouldn't fund me because I was not in a political circle and I was in a known Republican, they wouldn't give me no money. So I guess just, the stress, blah, blah, blah. I think that was my issue. But you're right, though. There's a lot of the obesity rate for, the poor kids is because, I know we're getting ready to end, but that's a problem that stems from single parent households, right? And the single mom thing, because a lot of young girls who grow up in the system when their mom has 4 or 5 kids, 3 baby daddies, and they're on food stamps or welfare. Young girls, when they're at the age where they can make babies, they see that as an opportunity to venture out on their own, have their own house, and be on their own, be an adult. And, so they're having kids at 15, 16, 17, and they're not ready to be parents. So when their kids get older, their kids are their friends instead of their child
Their
and
responsibility.
their responsibility and acting like a parent. Okay. So instead of providing home cooked meals, they get stamps and they buy junk food. So they don't have to cook a meal. They're not used to having a balanced diet with protein, carbs, dairy. That wasn't their experience growing up.
They weren't taught that.
So how can they teach that to their children? Right?
And the most profitable business in this country is a chronically ill child.
Yes.
So back to the business thing. So the government, if our government was doing such a good job, if you're on a government program, you'd be healthy as a horse.
If the government programs were doing their job, we wouldn't need government programs.
That's a great place to end our first conversation. If the government programs were doing their jobs, we wouldn't need government programs. That's beautiful. Independence, self-governance, freedom.
Yes.
Freedom. Laverne, it was very nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in. I hope we do it again.
Well, thanks for having me. I love to come in again.
We're going to have you back. And I hope everybody that's listening, take a look in the link. Or look in where are you going to put that now for everybody?
Down in the description. Just look in the description, guys, and there will be the links for everything that you'll need to find.
Thank you, Tanner. Tanner, thanks for coming in this morning. Everybody, we wish you well. Have a great weekend. Looking forward to seeing you next week, God willing.
Have a good night, everybody.